So, okay. Hi.
Morning.
Morning. I'm still here with my mum, reading my book, Thriving at Nature's Pace. And as you know, I've got my coat on because underneath I've only got a t-shirt.
Yeah, today is very cold.
It was quite a bit colder, wasn't it, today?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so...
we just closed the window.
Oh, did you? That's good. Yes, that's good. And yeah, I'm just looking around, make sure that you don't have other windows open. So this is my mum. And anyway, this is about a new approach to climate change. And we're talking about economics called emergent economics, which is where you kind of don't think about needing the money to get started with stuff. Basically, using your own initiative, trying to make do with what it is, and then see what happens and how to rebuild it. And the reason for that is because, well, our economy is actually quite fragile. So if climate change actually gets to be as bad as people say it is, then you can't really quite rely on all the ways that it has been working at the moment. So you're going to have to rely on you, your friends, the people you're together with, and see how you can actually create resources, share them, and use them. So that's what it's about. So that's the emergent economics. And so this part is about the characteristics of it. So I'm going to read this on. It's a few pages, and then we'll go on to the next bit tomorrow, I guess. Or actually, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. I've got the shit show tomorrow on Friday. Maybe after that. So, what are the characteristics of emergent economics? For a start, it should address genuine needs. Much of sustainability discussions are geared towards fixing the problems created by extractive economics. Those problems are problems on problems that can be made unnecessary by simply not doing whatever it was that caused the starting problems in the first place. That makes it important to look at why things are done at all. Take, for example, flying. The contrails, which are the white streams behind an airplane that you see in the sky, and the greenhouse gases emitted both drive climate change. Both come from the fuel used. Sustainability solutions consider how to create sustainable fuel so that people can keep flying. This is extractive economics trying to solve the problem without trying to understand the genuine need. An emergent approach looks through the flying and asks, why do people fly? Why do people fly? Back in the day, people wrote letters. The letters were written on lightweight air letter paper to make it cheaper to send by plane. The letters did the flying, while the writing lets families separated over large distances share news. Then there is the youthful desire to explore new places and see the world. This is to experience different ways of living. Back in the day, this was a major trip. People took time and spent time at the new locations to become assimilated. Today, people explore and see the world in short city breaks and weekend trips. They find that in the short time that they have, places are now largely all the same. It is ironic that the differences that exist are in architecture from several hundred years ago, before people started to travel en masse. Then there is also business travel. When a business project develops, it is sometimes necessary to inspect the site that's far away in another country. Flying becomes necessary. Some things have to be seen to be understood. However, technology has developed so much that business travel is more about status. The airline industry fulfills this with special treatment and perks. That's why there is business class. An emergent approach to addressing flying would be to strip back flying to ask how are these actual needs can be met. It's a subtractive approach. It's also emergent. ANA is a major Japanese airline, and it did this back in 2016 before the COVID pandemic popularized Zoom and other video technologies. It asks how an airline can help doctors get to where they are needed. Flying itself creates many problems. There is a need for an airport for a start. So if a doctor is needed at a place where there is no airport, then the airline, under an extractive economic model, would team up with a developer and build one. Then to recuperate the cost, it would build a tourist resort. Given the doctor needs to go there, it would suggest there is no hospital, so it can build a hospital to support the tourists. Then there's the traveling itself. The journey is long and the doctor needs to be there in good physical shape. There should be some services on board the plane. If the doctor is being flown out there, there's probably a great need. Those with the need can pay for a special travel class. It may be time sensitive, so there can be a fast track for the doctor to go through the airport. ANA recognized that these answers were not addressing the genuine need. They were addressing how to keep flying the way it has been. An emergent approach would ask a doctor would say a doctor is here and a need is there. It would ask what resources are already present between here and there that can be used. Maybe there's a telephone connection. The doctor can simply offer advice using a telephone. In today's advanced approach to innovations, this is not seen as an innovation at all. However, that is likely what nature would do. Then maybe if there's a telephone, there can be an internet connection. That then triggers more exploring. ANA took this emergent approach and landed with keeping the doctor where she is, and instead asked if robots and avatars can provide real-time presence through the internet. The question expands to how much a person can have real, tangible physical experiences through robots and avatars in real time. Rather than spending vast sums to propose and impose a solution, ANA went about by putting it out as a competition. This opened up the problem to more people. The competition allowed ideas to interact, went through iterations, different suggestions came about. Doctors can perform surgery remotely, people can manipulate heavy machinery. These are obvious in some ways, but what about the sense of being in a rainforest or the feel of being on the edge of a cliff? Or enjoy the atmosphere of being at a family barbecue? Emergent approaches are not just for poor communities in poor places, they are for rich communities in rich places also. In a world that is constrained by sustainability issues, modern society has to have a crystal ball to look past the money to see the genuine value and need. That is how emergent approach to change starts, with actual people in genuine situations and not with hypothetical people with imaginary needs. That is why emergent economics is more likely to provide real answers to how people can thrive with climate change and at nature's pace. It is also what nature does. It starts with each organism responding to its genuine needs, and that drives the next step. The path then emerges naturally. Each step is a progress. Complexity develops. There is no sense at the beginning of where the steps will take, but abundance, diversity, and thriving emerge. This is how economics can emerge without money, and it is nature's economics. So that's it. That's the end of that part. That was actually 10, but never mind. So, Mum, what do you think? I dropped your banana, sorry. I picked it back up.
Thì và mình sẽ dùng cái oil to cả cái. Now they are seeking the oil from the country that produce oil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mum said, first of all, it's not true when people say they don't use the oil, because they are actually looking even for more oil.
Yeah.
At the moment, and that's true. And people are talking one way and doing the other.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on.
And then the price is going up.
And the price is going up, which makes people with it happy.
No, they need the oil.
Yeah, well, it makes people who need it sad, but it makes the people with it very happy.
Yeah.
And the people with it are the ones that are pushing the price up, in case you haven't noticed.
And the cruise using the oil.
Cruise ships also use oil. They use a heavier oil, so it comes from the same source. So when a barrel of oil comes out, it's separated into different types. So there is some which is very heavy, and then there's some which is kind of very much lighter. The highest energy ones ends up being used for airplanes, and then kind of somewhere in between are the things that use for diesel, which then used to drive big trucks and things like that, and then it goes in cars and things. And the very heavy, dredgy type stuff is used in big boats a lot. And then when you're left with what's left, that can't be poured away because it's actually quite bad for the environment. So you have to make things with it. So you make a lot of plastics with what's left. And that's why there's so much problems with plastics, because we use so much oil and we don't know what to do with it except to make plastics. Um, so in some ways, we're better by saying we don't actually need to do all that much, and then we don't need to use that much. But the problem is everybody feels that they need to do things in order to be able to make money. Um, so in the end, what happens is they talk one thing and do another.
So the trains are using oil now.
The trains now tend to be in Europe. The trains are run on electricity, but the electricity can still be generated, mostly with gas, a bit of coal. Oil tends to be used for cars and ships and planes. Uh, but when oil price gets high, then they start changing from, for example, they start making coal into air, into fuel, into liquids, and that's a very expensive thing to do. Very expensive for the planet and is very expensive for people. So it's not done until it really is necessary to do in that way. But at the end of it, it's back down to things like: do you really need to take how many 3-day breaks do you need to take a year, and how many of them can you just stay at home? So subtractive change is the idea that sort of says, let's look at what you genuinely need, what you genuinely have to offer, and then actually focus on how you can best deliver that without having to get into all the other things. And that will allow you to be able to say, I don't need to use those things. And then the idea of the Thrive coins and the approach allows you then to say, I can actually use my own money to draw a limit on that. And I'm not giving up my money because I'm changing it into nature's money when I do that. And I get a different coin, a different currency, and if everybody's happy using it, then it's just as good for me. So, okay? Yeah, so very good observation. People say one thing and do another all the time. Okay, bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. 呢個膝頭冇事。